Good morning, everyone. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of child psychology and exploring how children think, learn, and grow. This journey will help us to understand the science behind the minds of the little ones. Today, we are exploring the four stages of cognitive development. The stages highlight how children think, evolves, and becomes more complex as they grow. We will quickly explore Piaget's four stages of cognitive development. Sensory motor stage, which happens in the year of 0 to 2 years of a child's life. What happens then is babies learn through their senses and actions. For example, when you hide a toy under a blanket, an infant may not have searched it yet as they don't understand that the toy still exists. This is called object permanence. In the pre-operational stage, which happens from 2 to 7 years old, children start using symbols like words and images, but their thinking is still egocentric. For instance, if a child is playing with a toy and says, "You want to play with this too, right?" They assume everyone sees the world as they do, showing egocentric behavior. Children, on the other hand, in the concrete operational stage from 7 to 11 years old, what happens then is they can understand concepts like conservation, meaning they understand that quantity doesn't even change even when the appearance changes. Their thinking becomes more logical but still is tied to concrete situations. And for formal operational stage from 12 years and onwards, this is the stage where abstract thinking or hypothetical thinking kicks in. Adolescents can now think hypothetically and reason about complex issues, making their thought process more adult-like. In a nutshell, these stages show how our thinking evolved from basic interactions with the world to complex problem solving and abstract thinking. To review last week's learning on schema, accommodation, and assimilation, you have all engaged in a Padlet activity where you posted a childhood picture and related it to these terms. I'll go through some of your posts and re-explain an example provided by Ida to further aid your understanding. Imagine a child sees a cat for the first time. They already have a schema for dogs, which means a dog has four legs, fur, and it barks. When they see the cat, they might think it's a dog because it fits their schema, which is assimilation. Later, they realize that a cat doesn't bark, so they adjust their schema and learn that not all four-legged animals are dogs. This process is known as accommodation, where they change their existing idea to fit in the new information. So assimilation is fitting new things into what they already know, and accommodation is changing our ideas when we learn something new. We can further expand on the concept of schema, assimilation, and accommodation by exploring how they fit into Piaget's four stages of cognitive development. I'll provide the first two examples, which, as you can see on the slide here. In the sensory motor stage, assimilation and accommodation work as babies explore the world. For example, a baby might see a toy car and assume it's just like a real car, which is assimilation. But when they try to push it and realize it doesn't move like a real car, they adjust their understanding, which is known as accommodation. In the pre-operational stage, children start differentiating objects. For instance, a child might pick up a toy phone and think it's the same as the real phone. This is a simulation, but as they learn that a real phone works differently, they accommodate their understanding, recognizing the toy phone is not functional like the real one. So I've also provided two additional examples for concrete operational stage and formal operational stage. And what I've done in the slide is I've indicated the age range, the characteristics that they go through based on the stages, Piaget's four stages of cognitive development, and how it can be used to explain, or how can we use assimilation and accommodation processes to explain the characteristics that goes through in the four stages. And what I've done is I've included application. As I know most of you guys are visual learners, so you learn better with visual stimuli. So for next week, what we will be doing is we will be focusing on the limitations of Piaget's theory. I've assigned two reading materials for you to go through before our next lesson. One is on the tree mountain task and the other is on the policeman doll task. These tasks are often used to assess children's cognitive development, and we will be discussing how Piaget's conclusions might not fully explain children's abilities at different stages. So while you're going through these reading materials, which is journal articles, yeah, simplified journal articles, you are required to first read the assigned materials, pay attention to the key concepts. And if I were you, what I'll do is I will find simulations or a summary of these case studies on a video format to help me understand better. And I will review and critically write few important points um, on the limitations, which will be helpful in reviewing next week's content. Thank you.